Hello everybody, we're at Most City Roastery's campus here. We're getting ready for our virtual 101 class. It's happening in about 40 minutes. Got a bunch of stuff going on, but I have the 3K warmed up for virtual 101 class. So I figured I could knock out a quick roast on this new Pacamara that we sourced. So we sourced this Pacamara from El Salvador, and we actually sourced 3 different processes. So it's a super exciting new coffee, but I'm gonna do a roast on the Pacamara Natural. That's what I'm going to roast right now. I have a 2 kg charge because I'm actually getting really close to my charge temperature. So I'm just kind of monitoring that. That's what you're seeing me step back to look at. So I already have my 1 minute plus plan ready for this roast. Something I'm doing different with this Pacamara, and that's kind of why we're doing this video series, is we're going to explore basically roasting a Pacamara. So I roasted natural, I roasted the natural once, I roasted the honey twice, and I roasted the washed once. But those cups, I haven't been super happy with those cups. One of the things that, if you've roasted Pacamaras a lot, you know that Pacamaras tend to have a lot of puffing going on. Puffing is one of these odd concepts in roasting or roast defects that's not really fully fettered out, whether it's a defect or whether it's not a roast defect. I'm thinking of it more as a green quality of the physics of the green coffee that actually, in certain roasting conditions, can create negative cup qualities. So I'm not calling it a defect on the roasting side or the green side. I'm just saying it's a physical anomaly that creates maybe a potentially negative cup. And what I notice in a puffing cup that I don't like negatively is just a sharpness of cup and a lack of sweetness. So when I thought about this and why, you guys can look into what puffing is considered as a roast defect, but when I thought about it, puffing is very similar to tipping in the concept of roast defect, where it's usually caused by high airflow, too much energy, too high of airflow late in the roast, and it causes the bean to swell too aggressively and puff. So my thoughts were that I would come up with a roast profile that maybe would somewhat alleviate this problem or create a better cup with different profile characteristics for a specific Pacamara. So I just kind of went back to the drawing board in my brain of what I could do as a roaster to try and work around these issues, and I came up with this concept. I've done 1 roast of this concept, and I liked it, and it cupped it out this morning, and it cupped out better. We're going to explore this concept in greater detail. My charge temp for this coffee is quite low. It's a Pacamara Natural, and so I'm going for a low and slow profile in general. It's a 350 charge on this coffee, charge temperature. I use the 2 kg charge weight. It's a 3 kg machine. I'm running it pretty much like, I'd say like ideal geometry for this batch size on this machine, which I've kind of fettered out in the past. Later on in this series, we're going to actually experiment with slowing down the drum to create less thermodynamic energy transfer or less energy transfer to actually slow down the roast to extend this roast out. And we're thinking that a slower, more gentle application of energy is the secret to getting this coffee really nice. I already have a minute plan, a 350 charge. I have static airflow. So I'm using medium airflow to medium low airflow. With static airflow, the theory behind static airflow is to use 1 airflow setting for the full roast, and it allows you more controllability of the roast because the only parameter that you're fiddling with is fuel. So it's super smart as a new roaster to learn how to roast with static airflow, because it really gives you an understanding of what your fuel input does. But that's not why we're doing this. We're doing this basically for the disadvantage and advantage with static airflow is you use 1 airflow setting for the whole roast. So what does that mean in the theory of roasting? It means the first half of the roast, you're probably running too high of airflow. You know, you want to run lower airflow usually in the beginning of a roast because energy transfer is happening with contact. You know, everything is contacting each other to grab energy from it. Bean to bean, bean to drum, bean to faceplate. And that's how energy is being transferred. So if you run really high airflow then, you're taking energy away and you're not letting it transfer by contact. So it's a little bit backwards to what you want to do. Well, as the roast progresses, then the energy transfer is occurring in the air. It's air, the air blanket is actually adding energy to the drum, to the faceplate, to the beans. And so the roasting medium becomes more airflow. So if we think about static airflow, what does that mean later in the roast? It means we don't have enough airflow. So we're losing a little bit of our energy in the beginning with too high airflow. We're losing a little bit of energy transfer later in the roast. So that's basically what you're kind of sacrificing with static air to gain more control of the roast. But that's not why I'm doing it. I'm doing it purposely because what I said earlier, this Pacamara tends to suffer from over-application of energy late in the roast, which is from air, and it puffs the coffee, it causes it to swell a little bit, and it gives it what I think is maybe a little bit of a sharp note to the cup that I'm trying to get rid of. So that's what drove me to this thought. Hey, if I would use static airflow, that means in the beginning it's going to go slower because I'm going to be using too high airflow, and at the end it's going to theoretically be going slower because it's going to be using too low airflow, thus not having the basically hard energy input that would cause the pakamara to potentially puff. So that was where my thoughts came about this roast. So the roast parameters on this roast are a little wacky. 6 minutes to green to yellow transition. Then my mid phase is plus 6 minutes. So equal phases in first phase and second phase. And then development, because I spent so much time in the drum on this coffee, and this coffee is low density, is actually short. So I'm only doing 1 minute and 25 seconds of development on a roast that I've brought to 12 minutes at that point. So hence, I'm capturing a lot of the nuance, a lot of the acidity, a lot of the brightness, a lot of the coolness of this coffee, but yet I'm also rounding out the sweetness and developing the body and all that kind of stuff. So we're right around the 4 minute mark, and I'm just starting to notice some yellowing. Also, I need to say that I've never done this roast, like you said earlier. I only roasted the pakamara once or twice. Once. And it was this roast, and I did this roast on a different machine. So this is the first time I've ever done this roast on this machine. So I created my 1 minutes based on other roasts I've done. I created my fuel inputs based on other roasts I've done. But I've never done a roast with this kind of static air, with this coffee, with this fuel input. So this is a one-off roast. But we're hoping that this roast plays out really well in the cup, because then we're just going to expand on this roast, and we're going to try it with maybe a potential slowing of the drum mid-roast too, to slow down that energy transfer. And then we'll eventually add in a different pakamara. We'll go to the pakamara honey or the pakamara wash and just see how that plays in the same context. All right, we're at 5 minutes. Oh yeah, we're getting very close to yellow. I'm seeing a lot of yellowing. These pakamara beans are also very large, and they have a savory quality to them. For me, it's more of a roaster's coffee. Like if you enjoy roasting and you enjoy roast craft, you're not completely driven by the cup, but you're actually driven by the process of roasting, you should love this coffee, because this coffee will teach you how to be a better roaster, and it'll definitely make you rethink the way you roast coffee, because it needs a different application of roast craft to coffee of this sort to get it to its optimum place. All right, we're almost at 6 minutes. Okay, think we might be there. Yep, I'm going to call that. So it's actually 5:50. So we hit it a little bit early, and I'm not going to make any adjustments other than I'm going to lower my fuel. And this is based just on my roaster gut right now. My roaster brain is not even participating in this roast, so I don't have enough actionable data to use roaster brain. So in this case, it's roaster gut. So I just made a fuel adjustment, and I lowered my fuel by 25% based on extending that mid-phase to 6 minutes. Which I'll be really honest and say that's a really long mid-phase on this roaster, because this roaster is a little bit of a bucking bronco where it has a lot of power. And it's a little bit harder to control with a smaller charge to try and extend that energy, extend that mid-phase when you're putting in heavy amounts of energy. But I don't want to go too low in gas, because then I could crash the roast and then end up with nothing actionable at all to actually apply to another roast to receive on the cupping table. So I need to get a roast off this so we can actually cup on the cupping table and actually try and put together like what's going on in the roast. Yep, the bean is nice. It looks very nice. There's no like tipping. You can potentially tip really delicate naturals to scorch a natural coffee, especially a natural pakamara, because it's pakamaras are very, very low in density, very low density, so they don't take on heat as well as a high density coffee. So we might end up hitting our 6 minutes, but we're at about 8.5 minutes right now, so that roughly means we have about 4 minutes to go. 3.5, 4 minutes. That seems like a pretty long amount of time right now. I'm also looking at my ET right now. So I have ET and IT on these new 3Ks. So basically now I have my ET, IT on the control panel. So as I'm trying to look a little predictive into like, you know, how fast is the coffee moving, where's the coffee going, I'm basically looking at my PID, PT, to see like, okay, this is where we're at, 376 right now, but then I'm looking at my ET, which is 438, and then my IT, which is 529. So that's telling me all that we're moving forward. We're not planing off in energy. So I'm actually going to lower the fuel again right now, based on that. So I lowered it by 1/10, or 10%. So I'm going to record that, 9:30, I lowered it again. And that was once again just roaster gut. Adjustment brought ET and IT closer because IT immediately starts to cool when you lower your fuel because that's measuring the temperature right off the flame. You know, ET's gonna react slower to that. So if we see IT get closer to ET, we know that ET now is gonna start to go down. But then again, we also aren't using a lot of airflow in this roast. So at the end, we're banking a lot of energy in that drum, you know? Lower at the 10.5 minute mark. And I've yet to hear an outlier, so that's boding well. Sometimes though, just so you guys know, when you go really low and slow on a roast, the crack will be very, very quiet. And probably sometimes long too, so harder to track. So I'm hoping that doesn't happen in this, because on the other roast of this coffee, that didn't happen. Oh, there may have an outlier. Oh, yep, there's an outlier. Cool, cool, cool. Oh, my gut, or my roaster reflex wanted to increase airflow, as that's one of the things I do in a normal roast, is I increase my airflow right around that first outlier to minimize the volatility of first crack. But with this roast, we're not doing that. We're doing static airflow, so I had to stop myself. I'm not calling crack yet. It's just a few outliers popping. Oop, there's a couple together. Our goal time. Oh yeah, that's it right there. 11:37. So 11:37 we had crack. That is excellent. For my previous roast on this, I don't lower fuel post crack. So we're already at a pretty low ROR, which I'm just gonna ride it out. So really all we're gonna do to decide I want to drop this is add my time 125 to 11:37. That's 13:02. 13:02 basically on this is when we drop. So I'm just going to go purely on time, other than I am going to look at the trier, but I'm not going to put a lot of weight into the color or the development or the bean because I don't really know what I'm going for in this roast. I've only done it once. And it's really about executing the time ranges so that I can cup the coffees. And I will record the final temperature, but I'm not worried about that right now. Okay, yeah, there's definitely some wrinkling still. So we're definitely still in that light zone. I'm not seeing a lot of smoothing of the surface. Crack is going full right now. That would be the only reason I might extend the time is if it's still a rolling crack. I just don't want to drop it in rolling crack. I want the crack to slow, which it should be slowing by minute 25, and then I drop it. We're at 13:05, and I'm going a little beyond because it's still cracking pretty heavily. So I'm just going to now listen for the crack to slow. So I'm going to turn my cooling fan on so I can drop right away. And I'm going to turn the fuel off so I don't move too far. Okay, there it is. It just started slow. So 13:27 to 4:25. Yeah, it's still cracking in the tray. It was cracking pretty mega when it came out, and now I'm just hearing random pops, which is good. That was what I wanted, because when I dumped this roast the first time, it was still popping when it came out. And that's part of this concept. Long time in the two phases, short time in one phase. I'm thinking in general, you should think about all roasts like that. If you're spending a lot of time in two phases, you should spend less time in one. Which one you choose is up to you, based on what you're trying to create in your cup. But if you spend a lot of time in every phase, you're probably not going to have a lot left in that cup of roast. But that's okay too. Yeah, beautiful. Why don't we bring the camera in just to show the coffee? Yeah, it's a gorgeous, beautiful big bean. Those beans are giant too. They're like almost the size of my thumb. All right, cool. Well, hopefully you guys gleaned a little knowledge from this Pacamara Natural roast with static airflow. We're going to keep building on this topic. If you want to learn more about roasting coffee at home, you can do that with us now. We have a virtual 101 class and we have a virtual 102 class, and we're working on more virtual. So we're basically here to help you all improve your roasting game. All right, cheers.